What is up, guys? Welcome back to another side quest commentary, if you will. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the big old debate that never seems to die. You always got one side and the other with quite a bit. One side typically has more than the other, but it differs at times. Today's topic is going to be alcohol versus marijuana debate. Now, I've had personal experience with both of these illicit substances, and I'm going to take into account my personal experiences and my opinions on them and which ones I think are better in what ways, and the problems I have with both of them. So, yeah. So, up first, we got the alcohol side, which I will say from the get-go is not my preferred method. Now, as I've said in previous videos, my current job does not allow for the other leafy green fun that I used to have back in my degenerate shed days. So I do partake in this one more as of right now, but the ultimate goal is to have the YouTube blow up and I become self-employed and I get to make content for all of you guys as a living, because that sounds like a dream. Or I become a 5-star restaurant chef, because I love cooking. Cooking would be my optimal career, but there's not much out there right now that benefits me more than where I'm at right now. But back to the topic at hand, we'll be talking about alcohol. Now, I think it definitely has its moments, in parties. It definitely loosens you up, makes you feel more confident than you should be at sometimes. But I feel like there's definitely a lot more downsides to alcohol than there is benefits. But like I said, the benefits do include, your confidence is boosted, sometimes more than it should be. That could honestly be considered a downside if you look at it a certain way. Some other things are, it's literal poison. Poisons your body. It is not good for you whatsoever. There is no health benefits that I could find that come with alcohol. And from my partaking in this substance, that I have never seen any health benefits other than weight loss. Because I feel like when I get drunk and I just get absolutely plastered, my stomach becomes this bottomless black hole, if you will. And I can just eat everything in sight, no matter what. But I believe, now don't quote me on this, but I believe alcohol does boost your metabolism, which when I drink, I partake in liquor. Sometimes beer, but I tend to not go the beer route, more liquor. But I just find that I wake up a lot skinnier than I went to bed the night before, even if I do somehow make it to Taco Bell and let the menu speak to me, and it usually speaks about 4 or 5 meals that do get eaten that very night. Which, it's nice being able to partake in that binge eating and not suffer the consequences the next day. But it is definitely not a sustainable way to lose weight. But if you do it every once in a while, then it kind of feels nice to just have that cheat meal that doesn't really have any downsides. But I have experienced a lot of negative effects. Now, I'm not one to get hungover per se, but I always have the next morning grogginess and just kind of shitty feeling. Like I'm not hungover, like I don't have a headache, I don't feel right. Because your body's recovering from the way that you poisoned it. Now, I've had a couple of hangovers when I blacked out, which is another thing that's really bad about alcohol. If you drink too much, you black out, you don't remember squat. You don't remember shit. Which I have had happen to me, I'd say about 3 or 4 times. And every time that I've blacked out, I've woke up with the worst hangover of my life. I'm talking head pounding, probably throwing up. A personal story of mine, I don't know if you guys remember this. I know I don't personally, but there was this Mike Tyson Jake Paul boxing match that I was watching, and I had a lot of friends over. It was a big ordeal at my house, and we had, the vodka, the Dr. Peppers, or whatever. I believe I was mixing it with Dr. Peppers. And it got to a point where I was so drunk I would dump out a whole can of Dr. Pepper and just straight funnel vodka into this empty soda can, thinking I was making a mixed drink. Obviously, I don't remember this, but this is what my friends were called, and they told me. And I was in high school at the time, so I didn't have a full-time job, but this was the Saturday that I was waking up after. I woke up at 4 p.m., still drunk out of my mind. I had a shift to cover at the good old Casey's General Store, and I'm gonna be honest, I was just straight up drunk on my shift. I was a drunk hungover. It was not good. It was the worst shift of my life. Longest 4 hours, because our Casey's only stays open till 10 p.m. But I know I went to bed around midnight, in between midnight and 2. So that means the alcohol sat in my body for at least 16 hours. And I woke up still drunk because I consumed so much. I can't recall this, but my friends told me I had basically a whole handle of Tito's. There was not very much left when I woke up in the morning, and they said that nobody else touched it. Not that I was being aggressive in guarding it, it's just I drank it so fast in such large quantities that it was no point in taking it because there was other beverages to consume and not have to try and get the Tito's away from me. Like I said, I don't think I was being aggressive, but I was definitely drinking a lot, drinking fast, and that's why I blacked out. And all my other stories like that, that's the reason, is because I didn't pace myself. If you pace yourself correctly, you can definitely have a good time and not feel like shit the next day, but, sometimes shit happens like that, and I find it happens to a lot of people quite often who just don't know their limits, and that's why I'm not a big fan of it, because you can easily do too much too fast, and then next thing you know, you wake up at 4 p.m., you gotta work at 6, and you're still drunk. So, on the scale, I'd put it at a 7 out of 10. No, probably a 6.5. Because it doesn't taste good either. It's just much better options, much better ways, which I'm going to talk about on how to get feeling good. Now, on to the topic of the leafy greens, as I will call them. I used to partake in these a lot. I did this before I ever drank, and I became what was known as a stoner in high school, where I would partake every day, multiple times a day. Until as of recently this year, when I wouldn't say I stopped, because I still do it at parties occasionally, but it's only once every couple months, if that. Just because I don't want to risk losing my job for a little bit of fun that I can now go without. But when I first started, I noticed nothing but benefits from these leafy greens, or shopping carts, if you will. Because I had a lot of trouble sleeping, and I had really bad anxiety, so it would definitely make me feel better in those ways, 100%. Won't knock it for anything like that. Alcohol, on the other hand, that shit makes you feel anxious after when you're hungover and stuff. It just makes you feel crappy. But this stuff, no hangover. I remember the first time I partook in these, I woke up the next day feeling like I slept a full 24 hours and I was ready for the day, and it was like 8 in the morning on a Saturday. It was insane. But then later I found out that you get the groggy feeling after 4 years of doing it every day, and it's not good to be doing it every day. But that's just how I did it, because I loved it. So I did it every day. But it is definitely a better way of getting messed up at a party, because it doesn't inebriate. I can't say that word. It doesn't intoxicate you. There's a word I can say that's at my vocabulary level. It doesn't intoxicate you on the level alcohol does. Because alcohol will take away motor functions. It'll take away thinking. It'll take away basically basic human function, is how I'm going to put it. Now the leafy greens, I don't know. Just from my personal experience, makes me feel a lot better, makes me feel more relaxed. Unlike alcohol, which is weird to me, it makes me, it gives me the munchies, but it doesn't make me feel like I have an endless pit in my stomach. Like, I will eventually get full. And obviously, I've had my fair share of binges while off of the leafy greens, and some of my munchy meals that are a little questionable. One time I did a peanut butter and jelly with goldfish. Knock me if you want, but if you haven't tried it, you can't talk. And the thing I hate about the leafy greens is how not socially acceptable it is compared to alcohol, with how much better it is health-wise. Like, yes, it'll damage your lungs if you use the inhalable version. But other than that, I don't really notice much downsides health-wise. I mean, if you use it every day, I've learned it does make you lazy, so there can be health benefits that are contradictory to the substance rather than you just becoming lazy because of it. But it's just overall better, but it is not more socially acceptable. I know some countries have it legalized, but the United States, it's state by state. And I've done some research, and even if it is legal in your state, you are still not protected from job drug testing because of company policy, but you're still allowed to drink, which is crazy to me, that even if it is legal, you can still be fired and you are not protected by the state law because it is federally illegal. And everybody keeps trying to make it more illegal. Like, in Texas, it can be a felony with $50,000 fines if you get caught carrying that stuff, the forbidden oregano, which is insane because it is so much better for you health-wise, and it actually is used medically, unlike alcohol, other than to sterilize wounds. But it is used, and I've read a lot of stories and seen a lot of people say how it has helped them tremendously get through certain injuries and make them feel better, and it helps mental health issues if used correctly, obviously. But it makes me a little angry that it's not more socially acceptable. Makes me want to move to a different country where it is, but that's not going to happen. And I think it would lower the crime rate, because you ever seen someone who's stoned and mad? Because I don't think so. I don't think taking the leafy greens, I don't think anybody thinks, I want to go shoot somebody, I want to start a fight. No. You chill, you eat a bag of chips on the couch, and you play some damn Xbox. Some Need for Speed is what you should be playing, because that's what's going on in the background right here. Some sick drifts. But unfortunately, it's not in the world we live in, which it always depends on who's in the house and who's president and whatever. Kind of leans one way or the other depending on how the majority votes. But it is just insane to me. But overall, I'd give this illicit substance a scale of 8.9. It's very good if used correctly, and definitely better at parties, in my opinion. But that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.